What do you do when The Sims 3 has never-ending lag, The Sims 4 breaks every 3 business days, and the next option for a new life sim feels so far out of reach? If you're me, you just put off playing The Sims for a few months. Eventually, you cut the dramatics and do what you should have done years ago. You find your roots. Acottonsock has given new life to The Sims 2, and I'm so here for it. Chapter 1. Set up and play via Acottonsock. I hate to say it, but I can't play The Sims 2 for longer than a week. I have a lack of motivation to play, and it's such a shame because it's The Sims 2, literally the main catalyst of this channel. Speaking for myself here, it really goes to show it doesn't matter how good that early 2000s nostalgia is or how much the gameplay still holds up 20 years later. If I'm not emotionally invested into my game, I will get bored and fast. One pro about The Sims 2 in its vanilla state is the fact that it manages to beat out both The Sims 3 and 4 in terms of performance, which is such a double-edged sword because The Sims 2 being so buttery smooth on newer systems is such a plus, but on the other hand, The Sims 3 and 4 are the latest versions in the franchise, so it's just like, alright now EA, start optimizing your game. But the cons of The Sims 2 trumps all when you think about the resolution issues, how I basically forgot how to play the game, and how I managed to traumatize myself on multiple occasions by trying to add the tiniest piece of custom content, and my game is then aggressively infested with pink soup. I'm being so serious. A couple of items would cause the game to react so dramatically and spread so severely, it would terrify me to the point of uninstalling everything and pretending The Sims 2 doesn't exist. This cycle has lasted since 2014 when you can get the Ultimate Collection for free on Origin. It really was a shame I never gave this game the attention she deserved. Yet it all changed for me about 2 months ago. I had enough of The Sims 4's non-stop updates, and I was getting tired of combing through The Sims 3 trying to find what would tank the performance. Quick update, I was able to fix her. I removed all my saves but my current household, and who would have thought the game runs fine. I might be in my Sims 3 obsession era, so don't be surprised if I drop a Sims 3 video. I'm letting that idea marinate for a bit, so who knows if that'll be a thing or a one-off video. Also, it didn't help that YouTube's recommended page decided to work for once and start shoving aesthetic Sims 2 content down my throat. I just had to bite the bullet and take the time to follow a tutorial step by step to fix The Sims 2. But one thing about me, I'm a quitter. I have no shame. If it's too overwhelming, I quit. If I can't keep up, I give up. The moment I start to feel any bit of stress, it's an immediate loss of interest. I can blame ADHD and tell myself I'm taking a break, but we all know a break shouldn't last a couple of months to a year. But thank the Sims gods for the Queen Acottonsock and her amazing Sims 2 guide series, because I'm being so serious when I say she saved my game. They basically uploaded a how-to Sims 2 for dummies. This series guides you through on how to fix, beautify, and transform your game with essential gameplay mods. There are 2 videos specifically that I follow to a T to give my game a much needed facelift. This first video in the playlist is the Ultimate Sims 2 Fix Guide. This is such a must watch before you even touch your game.
Hi guys, and welcome back, or welcome to my channel. I'm Maddie, or Acottonsock, and I make Sims 2 and Sims 3 content on this channel. You are currently watching video number 2 of 3 in my Sims 2 setup and play series. Our first video in this series talked about where can you acquire The Sims 2 in 2022. This second video right here is how can I fix The Sims 2, and the next and last video in this series will be how can I beautify The Sims 2 to update the graphics and make it look a little bit better in 2022. So in this video, like I already said, we're going to be answering the question, how can I fix The Sims 2 so it will work? Because if you have tried to launch the game before without fixing it, it usually will play for a little bit. Maybe you'll get to the neighborhood screen, but then it will almost always crash, especially on modern computers, the game usually will crash. In my case, if I don't have fixes applied, it will crash when I am on the loading screen for the entire game. Now, let me just say, before you get in over your head and start to shake your fist at the wall, I am going to show you this in the simplest, easiest way. I promise it really isn't that hard. If you've watched my Sims 3 Ultimate Fixes video, this is going to be easier than that. Regardless of that though, I just wanted to note that I do make my tutorials over explaining everything just so they are palatable for everyone that's watching back at home, no matter your level in technology or skill or anything like that. So if I'm going too slow or if I'm over explaining things you already know, that is why.
I've always considered myself pretty tech savvy, but as we've established, if I have to use any part of my brain a little too much, I'ma quit. As you can see, I didn't have to worry about that because Acottonsock basically holds your hand and sometimes does the complicated work for you, making this video and honestly the entire series incredibly easy and super straightforward to follow. And imagine my surprise when it actually worked. At this point, I didn't want to watch anyone else's tutorial because her tutorials just made sense. Even though this is a how-to Sims 2 for dummies, it never made you feel like the dummy. So I quickly moved on to the next video where she walks you through the ultimate Sims 2 visual guide.
You are currently watching the final video 3 of 3 in my Sims 2 setup and play series. In the first video in this series, we talked about where can you acquire the Sims 2 in 2022. The second video, we talked about how can we fix the Sims 2. And this last video right here is going to probably be the longest, but it is how can we beautify the Sims 2 to update the graphics and make it look more modernized. This will include things like default replacing base game hairs and clothing and makeup, updating the game's textures, adding new skies so they look a little bit more modern, and probably what you all are looking forward to the most, reshade. Before continuing, please ensure that you have applied the fixes discussed in the last video. I'll put a card in the top right. Before you comment, Maddie, my game won't even launch, or it crashes when I hit the play button, Maddie, please go check out the previous video where I discussed all of the fixes for The Sims 2 at length.
We wonder why developers' choices in art direction have such a huge impact on players' opinions. For me, it all comes down to when I enjoy the aesthetics, I further enjoy my creations to form deeper attachments. Despite The Sims 2 arguably having the best clothing options and cast out of all the other games in the franchise, the graphics and lighting need a major upgrade to have a modernized feel. If I'm being honest, with only the essentials, you could have The Sims 2 rival a few of the newer life Sims. Looking at a couple of my most watched Sims 2 creators, their games are so pleasing and I'm beyond jealous of how they were able to completely revamp The Sims. No, being so serious, I hate them all. I want to be them so bad, but I know there's no way they could get their game looking this nice overnight. It probably took years to pick and choose what works for them. This means those late nights of downloading way too much custom content and expecting my game to run fine the next morning can't happen with The Sims 2. I have to learn to pace myself. It's all about self-control. Do I have it? No, but we're gonna get there. Chapter 2, starting with the basics, rediscovering The Sims 2. Yes, the aesthetic gameplay videos were the biggest push to fix The Sims 2, but my failed experiences with CC taught me a quick drag and drop into the downloads folder wasn't going to cut it this time. I know I can be kind of crazy with mods, and if I'm not careful, I could ruin my game. Corruption and broken saves can be fixed, but y'all know I don't want to sit through that. So I'll avoid it if I can. My want to do the least amount of work as possible to avoid burning out inspired two very strict rules I set for myself. Rule number 1, start with the basics. Only download what is absolutely necessary. I've always had a problem with overconsumption when it comes to my games, and it doesn't help when there are tons of talented mod creators who all make incredible content that often rivals the actual game. Avoiding the impulse of wanting to have it all is possible if you're like me. It also might be a benefit in disguise that the Sims 2 modding community looks so foreign to me. I've been a vanilla Sims 2 player all my life. I have no idea what I like and what will work with my playstyle. To make sure my game's performance stays as buttery as it is now, I'm very, and I mean extremely picky of what I decide to download. When I see a mod that catches my eye, I run it through a simple checklist before rushing to add added to my game? How often do I play with the base feature? Probably not often enough, so I should play with said feature a little more before trying to change it. Is it necessary to fix how the default system works? Most times it's not, and I actually enjoy how the default system works in game. And if it's content for aesthetics only, meaning no gameplay functionality, is the in-game version really that bad? Again, most of the time it's not. For example, I most likely won't ever add road replacements. It's a lot of work for something I don't really care to change. This checklist often results in downloading maybe less than 5 separate pieces of content a month, and that's on the heavier side. I truly enjoy practicing this level of discipline as it will allow me to slowly improve my game over time, and confident that everything in my game is perfectly tailored to my taste. This relates to the second rule I choose to strictly follow. Rule number 2, resurrecting my passion for The Sims 2. Take the time to rediscover the base game. The last time I was deep within my Sims 2 era was over 10 years ago. I was so young during that time, it's hard to remember most of it. Even though those special core memories remain, most of the game now feels like I'm playing for the first time. The decision to be so strict with what I download has allowed me to relearn the mechanics of The Sims 2. I can grow to accept the limited clothing and object choices. Doing so forces me to be more creative and intentional about how I play. Despite my younger self having more of an unhinged way of playing, I'm able to carry some of my old ways and improve on them with new ways to have fun with my Sims. The biggest part of my appreciation for The Sims 2 is that nostalgia of the early 2000s. I can't help but want to keep some of that old spirit alive. In time, I know my game will eventually catch up to how heavily modded I have The Sims 3 and 4, but for now, I'll take my time and enjoy remembering my old ways while slowly bringing in the new. Since I take the time to relearn The Sims 2 and continue to stay picky about what I download, I've been able to craft the perfect base to start, which makes it easy to show you my short but essential mod list. Most of my mods and fixes are from Acottonsock setup series, so I will make sure to link those videos as well as a couple others that I found. Starting with graphics and general fixes, Graphics Rule Maker. Such a necessary fix if you want to adjust the resolution, especially if you have a newer monitor. The largest default resolution looks terrible on most modern monitors. Sims 2 are PC, an essential mod that corrects so many issues I don't even think about. If you're wanting to improve your game, this is a must-have to save you a headache and a half. Then I have a couple of smaller but useful quality of life improvements like Clean UI, Gun Mod's Camera Mod, Sim Shadow Fix, and finally the most crucial part of correcting your game's visuals, Reshade. I currently use the Turnipeds preset, but I won't be surprised if I eventually hunt for more. I tend to like presets that can make the game have a cinematic feel, and the different vibe can make up for the lack of CC. Speaking of custom content, I don't have much, and I don't think I'm going to be adding to my collection for a while. I have a few default replacements such as hair, skin, eyes, and face templates, staying away from clothing replacements for now. I might consider adding non-default pieces in the future, but the in-game clothing is way too iconic to replace. Next, we have modernized replacements for alarms and phones that clean up their look a bit, and I did recently download some build mode items that fill a gap of basics that a game from 2004 would not have. Recommended from Rainy Day Gamer. In their video, they showcase 5 custom content essentials for new players. I have the bespoke blinds and curtains, bespoke build set, base game kitchen appliance recolors, 4-2 blooming kit, and 4-2 floors and walls. All are vital, basic items that I felt would complete my builds. The Sims 2 is great, but the selection for build mode objects could use a little help. Now moving on to my favorite and most important must-haves, gameplay mods. These are the mods I'm going to have to stay disciplined with, as you can never have too much gameplay. What I currently have in my game is the 18-hour pregnancy mod, community lot skill building, rent furnished apartments, choose last name marriage, choose last name baby, Monique's hacked computer, and Evie's equal genetics. A must-have because the firstborn syndrome is not a vibe. Huge immersion killer. And for the absolutely goated mod that adds so much spice and casual romance, Autonomous Casual Romance, or ACR for short. This mod is a game changer in terms of overhauling the entire Sims 2 romance system. I often forget the crazy scenarios that are generated from this mod are not already in the game, so I highly recommend this mod if you need realistic romance. My absolute top favorite Sims 2 mod ever. As I said earlier, all links will be in the description. Please go check out Acottonsock's Setup and Play series if you're wanting to play The Sims 2 but can't figure out how to get your game working, or just simply want to give your game that facelift. Her series saved me so much of my time and patience. Now the video ends here, but I still have way too much to talk about. What will be the point of telling you I fixed my game without showing you how I play? Come back same time tomorrow where I'll get into how I take the time to rediscover The Sims 2. My habits have changed so much as an adult simmer, but that unhinged 6-year-old still lives, and she's only got more unhinged with age. Look who made an appearance. Oh, Grace. Oh, Grace. Wait a minute. I don't know if you want to do this. I want them to be lovers. I mean, no, not lovers. Like best friends forever. Like, no, he's your friend. She better not be in love. He's in love with us. Is she in love with him? No. Oh my God. These two are best friends. She's engaged to him, but she's in love with him. Do you see the mess she's created?